is like baseball. Or kind of like baseball. Everybody's been having trouble with time. I know I only have 20 minutes. So since I only have 20 minutes, I'm going to try to convince you of one thing, and only one thing. It's actually very, very simple to do. But a lot of people don't do it. So I'm going to spend 18 minutes trying to convince you why you should actually do it if you want to win in visual content marketing. To do that, we're going to talk about the American League versus the National League. We're going to see what we might be able to learn from a Moneyball type approach applied to visual content marketing. I'm going to try to teach you to think or convince you to think like a pitcher. And then luckily, we're going to talk about the kinda. What are the differences between baseball and visual content marketing, and not the obvious ones. So do we have any Giants fans in the audience here? We're in San Francisco. Any Giants fans? Good, good. The Giants have won 8 World Series champions. An absolutely amazing team. They've been good for a very long time. I hate to tell you I'm a Cardinals fan. And the Cardinals have won 11 World Series championships. Well, let's be fair. Let's just look at the last 10 years. 5 of the last 10 World Series championships have been won either by the Cardinals or the Giants. And the Giants have won 3, and we've only won 2, so you guys win. Why do I bring that up? National League. I love National League teams, Cardinals, Giants. Let's talk about the American League versus the National League. Or visual content marketing. Let's talk about Instagram and Pinterest. So, the primary content that you're going to find on either of these platforms. On Instagram, images and descriptions. On Pinterest, images and descriptions. We're both playing baseball here. But that's about where those two platforms diverge. They're easy to look at as if they're the same. Hopefully, I can convince you that they're vastly different. They're both amazing. My company, Ahalogy, we focus primarily on Pinterest, so I might seem biased. I love both platforms, but you need to know the differences between them so that you know how to market. So the ecosystem. Instagram is a closed garden. All of the interactions happen on Instagram. It is nearly impossible to get clicks outside of Instagram. Pinterest, it's a free-flowing ecosystem. It's the 3rd largest driver of traffic across the entire web. Google, number 1. Facebook, number 2. Pinterest, number 3. Demographics, this is pretty easy. Instagram, millennials. Pinterest, anywhere from college up to empty nesters. Pinterest is known as very female-oriented. If you haven't picked up on it yet, that's changing, and it's changing very quick. Guys are actually growing about twice as fast on Pinterest as females. And in international, where growth is happening in Pinterest, it's actually split 50-50. So make sure you start thinking about Pinterest not just as a female-only platform. User intent, why are people there? Everybody's consuming content, but if you take a proactive action, what are you doing on Instagram? You're broadcasting. This is me. This is my pretty life. And you're having conversations around images. On Pinterest, it's selfish, and I mean that in the best damn way possible. This is about me. It's about what I want. It's about my future, my plans. I'm not thinking about the rest of the world. I'm taking the rest of the world and making it mine. Content goals. Instagram, aspirational, beautiful things, and it's personal branding. Look at my nice vacation. Look at my nice dinner. Look at my great car. Pinterest, inspirational yet attainable. So if Instagram is Gucci, Pinterest is Anthropology or Nordstrom's. Content emotion. Beauty, luxury, just high end. It's still that very, very aspirational. Pinterest, it's about action. It's about everyday life. What am I going to eat for dinner? What am I going to wear to the party? How do I decorate my kids' room? It is gloriously boring. It's about our everyday real lives. So if you're going to market on these, what should you be shooting for with Instagram? This is branding and conversations. Instagram truly is a social platform. Go look at all the comments that you see on popular pins on Instagram. There's whole conversations that happen there. Pinterest, it's branding and action. It's a one-to-one type platform, one-to-many-to-one, and you want them to take an action. Cook something, build something, try something. And it doesn't just have to be online, it's very much offline as well. Okay, so American League versus National League. Now let's talk about Moneyball. I would like to say that I'm Brad Pitt here, but from a goofiness perspective, I'm probably more of a Jonah Hill. One of the big premises of Moneyball is you're buying wins, you're not buying players. That you can use data to predict what's going to happen, right? Everybody's probably heard the 80-20 rule in life. You get 80% of the value out of 20% of what you do. What we're looking at here is what's called a cumulative Pareto analysis. That's where that 80-20 rule comes from. In baseball, if you look at salaries and players, I'll tell you, I would love to be a really good baseball player. 80% of salary in baseball goes to only 31% of players. The top earning player earns 55 times as much money as the lowest earning player in the major leagues. Not a bad job. Now let's look at Pinterest. If we look at pieces of content in Pinterest, it only takes 6% of pins to get 80% of the clicks that are coming out of Pinterest. Engagement on the platform and engagement coming out of the platform. The top 1% of Pinterest pins get 53% of all traffic. And they get 1,500 times as much engagement. Not 1,500%, 1,500 times more engagement. So I look at that and I go, holy cow, I've got to have the best damn content. I'm either a data geek or lazy or both. So if I'm going to go create content, I've got to have the best stuff because I don't want to waste my own time. That's just, I don't have time for that and I'm lazy. So being a data geek, the first thing I say is, what makes visual content great? I might be a data geek, but I'm not that smart where I can go do deep learning neural networks. So I partnered with some of the best professors in the nation doing image recognition. 2 guys from Carnegie Mellon. Groundbreaking research. They get hired by 3-letter agencies to do, talking about WMD, weapons of mass. Those 3-letter agencies hire them to do image processing for them. Worked with them for about 3 months, 100,000 or 100 million images we processed through, and here's what we learned. We couldn't figure it out. You'll hear things like, images with red perform better than images with blue. What does that really help you do? Nothing. But I'm a start-upper, and I look at it, oh, these professors, they're old, they don't know what they're doing. Me and my team are going to figure it out. We burnt a lot of time, a lot of cash, a lot of frustration, and we didn't learn anything else. So it's really hard to look at an image with a computer and figure out if it's going to work. That's good to know, but I'm inquisitive, so I had to figure out why. And I'm going to tell you why, so hopefully you believe the one thing that I tell you at the end of this presentation. People and computers look at images very, very differently. So somebody in the front row here, I'm going to pick on some of you guys. All of you, let's try this. Ready? I want you to read really, really fast. Okay. Anybody pick up anything there? What's that? YouTube. Okay. YouTube. Anything else? Tear jerking. Okay, that's a good one. When we do some of these, what I'm looking for is content, emotion, motivation, just what did you pick up? So let's try it again. Ready? Try again. There we go. Same amount of time. What'd you get? A mom. Returning veteran. Emotions. Happy. Okay, so same amount of time, we just got a lot more out of that, right? Let's do it one more time. You have 5 seconds this time. Grab as much as you can. Okay, anybody just throw some stuff out. What's that? Sophie. What was Sophie? Okay. Okay. Any emotions, any motivations? Healthy? Okay. Now we're going to do it again. Anybody get anything other than Sean and Bradfeld? Point made. So we humans are really, really, really good at processing images. Very, very quickly, right? How about computers? So if I take that piece of text and I throw it through IBM Watson, here's what I get. I get this back in a split second. Not only context, keywords, themes, those things are really, really easy for computers. I get emotions, I get motivations, excitement, self-expression, closeness, very, very high. Hedonism, challenge, very, very low. It's not perfect, but it's pretty amazing what they can pull out of text. If I take that image and I pass it through image recognition, what I get is people, clothing, military, female, portrait, war. To tell you the truth, that's mind-blowing. A computer did that. But pragmatically, can I really do anything with that? Stick it in Google image search, that's what I get back. Yeah, thematically pretty similar. For marketing, it doesn't work. So why? I still have to ask why, and I'm going to convince you guys that it's really hard. Partially to make myself feel better. So Twitter, average about 15 words per tweet. Smart Americans have 40,000 words in their vocabulary. That means a tweet has 10 to the 69th power potential permutations. A Pinterest pin, 236 by 384 pixels, that means there's 90,000 pixels in a pin. And this is a small version of the pin. Each pixel could have about 16,000 different colors on a really cheap computer. A nice Retina display, that's 16 million colors. That means there's 10 to the 381,000th powers, orders of magnitude of difficulty. I'm pretty good at math, I'm pretty good at data. That's the biggest number that I've ever personally come across. So I had to try to contextualize it for myself. So I use distance, the width of a proton, the width of the observable universe. That's 10 to the 47th difference. We still have to go another 381,000 times harder. Each digit is another 10 times harder. So I figured I'd just print it out for you guys. I don't have enough time because that's 1,652 slides, each digit getting 10 times harder. So let's just say it's really fucking hard. Squared. So if I can't just look at an image from a snapshot and predict how well it's going to do, can I be like Moneyball? We don't look at Prince Fielder, if anybody knows who he is, and say, he's an amazing batter. We look at what he's done before. So can I look at content and use their past to predict its future? Or even more specifically, just like Prince Fielder, can I use a content creator to predict how well that content creator is going to do? So you remember this, cumulative Pareto analysis. Let's flip it upside down and turn it into a unit Pareto analysis. The problem is it's so steep it looks kind of like a right angle, so let's zoom in. Then zoom in again. Now we're starting to get somewhere where we can see something. This is 550,000 pins that happened in the first quarter of Pinterest across my company's network. We got a few thousand content creators. If I look at all accounts, and I picked out our best content creator, the absolute best, here's what we learned. The average performance has 24 clicks, and this is all across 500,000 pins. Overall, only 9% of pins perform above average. Kind of mind-blowing. It's because the really good ones perform so well that it makes everybody else kind of look bad. But that top content creator, only 16% of our content performed above average. It's really hard to have great content, and even great creators can't do it all the time. We're going to come back to all this here in just a minute. But what have I said? Winners take all in content creation. It's nearly impossible to predict how well content's going to do, and even using historical performance, even if you're the best, you're going to fail 84% of the time. So now I'm going to try to convince you to think like a pitcher, and I'm going to move kind of fast here because now I've got time problems. Bottom of the ninth, you're up by 1 run, 2 outs, bases loaded, you're on the mound, you're the pitcher. You're facing an amazing batter. What do you have to do? You have to think about what that batter likes hitting, what they're good at, what they're bad at. You have to think about your pitches. What are your great pitches? The pitch you select has to be that perfect overlap where your best pitch hits one of their weaknesses. Content marketing is the same. Your consumers, they're in control now. They get to consume what they want to consume. And you've got things you want to tell them. That little overlap, that is the holy grail. Or some people would say it's the myth. Most marketers today, they approach it coming from, what do I want to tell consumers? What do they actually want to hear? Why? They've been making TV commercials, they've been making ads, they've been making banner ads. What does that look like in practice? Disney Store, I love Disney, great marketers. they're screwing up on Pinterest. If anybody knows Disney, I'd love to help them. They are pushing out what they want to tell their consumers. Here's our products. Here's something that you should do. I'll just tell you really quick, they're not doing well. There's another way to do it, though. Start from where your consumer wants you, or what your consumer wants to consume. Bounty paper towels. Not the sexiest brand in the whole world. Great, big company. What do? They look at what their consumers want to consume and then just find that segment where they have a right to play. What does that look like? Messy food. Messy kids. Places where their consumers need help in creating food, activities for their kids. And even when they get into more branded stuff, it's still not that branded. Bounty's getting 10 times the performance than than Disney on Pinterest. So what do we know so far? Winners take all. Content prediction is, what is it? Really fucking hard. Even the best fail most often. You gotta give your consumers what they want. That sounds really, really, really tough to do. That would be a terrible presentation if I didn't tell you there's actually a better way. So luckily, content marketing is different than baseball, and it's not exactly the same. There's not as many constraints in content marketing. Skip over some of that. Let me just tell you, when it works well. So standard ads, you get 100% of your impressions. Promoted pins in Pinterest, you get 30% earned. If you do it well, one of our clients is getting 140% earned. Actually, it's now 189 because the earn just keeps on going for free. How do they do that? Created 500 pieces of content. And by definition, they've got their average. Tried to promote the top 30 of them. They got 5x their average performance. Then picked the best 5 and put all their money behind it. So what does that really mean? They put $90,000 in promotion in the best pin, spent $10,000 to test some out, spent $100,000 to get $240,000 of earned media, or total media. The bitch of it is, they had to spend $500,000 to create those 500 pieces of content. So, $240,000 of earned media, $600,000 of total spend, 495 pieces of mediocre content, 5 great pieces of content. I told you 20 minutes, one thing, here it is. There is a better way. In Pinterest alone, last time they published it, there's 35 billion pins. It's probably closer to 50 billion pins today. Some of them are great, some of them are terrible. The data around what's great and what's terrible is already there. Go search, go look in the popular pages. Go find the best. Let other people fail for you. And the first thing you do is curate. Once you curate, now you know what your audience wants. Now you know what's resonating. And then create. But don't start creating content until you've become an amazing curator. So you can either call it curate to create, or learned, owned, paid. There's a couple of ways to hack this. Don't have much time. Those content creators down there, making those 35 billion pins, some of them love working with marketers. You already know how well their stuff works. Go work with them. Go find the content that's already working, stack the deck in your favor, and make content that you already know is going to work. To win in visual content marketing, you need to curate to create, learned, owned, paid. We've been working with Fortune 500 companies. Fun to say, we're now working with startups, if anybody's interested. No time. Thank you, guys.